Hi, Alex Polyak here. In this video, I want to talk about 10 interesting and little-known facts about GTA 4. Let's get started. Darts for playing darts game in GTA 4 have an interesting feature because their appearance has differences depending on the characters, and often this even has a symbolic meaning. Niko's darts are painted white, blue, and red, which could mean the flag of Niko's most likely homeland, Serbia, or the Serbian Republic as part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. However, these colors are arranged in the opposite way, which is more similar to the Russian flag. To understand that the order of the colors is exactly this, it is enough to look at the arrangement of the textures on the other darts. Perhaps the developer had in mind the colors of the Serbian flag, but made a mistake. Or maybe Niko was originally conceived as a Russian. Or is there some other explanation? If you have thoughts on this, share them in the comments to the video. Now let's look at what the other characters have. Roman's darts feature a girl with a glass from GTA Vice City, which makes sense considering how much of a partygoer and women lover Niko's cousin is. And although this is most likely a coincidence, Roman wanted to send him to Vice City, which he wrote in a text message at the storyline ending. Jacob uses an image of a marijuana leaf. If you remember this character, you know exactly what a weed-smoking lover he is. Packie and Kate McCreary use a drawing of a leprechaun with a mug, which is a typical symbol of Ireland, the historical homeland of the McCreary family. By the way, this drawing can also be seen on one of the bars in Algonquin, where you can just hang out with friends, get drunk, or play darts. But for the rest of Niko's girlfriends, such as Michelle, Carmen, Kiki, and Alex, the developers did not come up with anything special and simply used the flag of Scotland, which traditionally refers to Rockstar North, the main GTA developer studio located in Edinburgh. So, we looked at the darts of all Niko's friends and girlfriends with whom he can play darts, but in fact, that's not all. Checking the game files, I noticed two more darts that are not used in GTA 4, one of them with a $sign, and the other with the famous official screenshot from GTA San Andreas, which shows CJ. I assume that these darts were conceived for Brucey and Dwayne. These are the only friends of Niko's with whom, for some reason, the play darts option is not among the leisure options. The pompous $sign perfectly personifies Brucey with his constant love of luxury and ostentatious lifestyle. And CJ can be considered as an image of a gangster from the 90s because this is an excellent description of Dwayne himself. Even the game script has a similar reference when, in a conversation about Dwayne, 1992 was mentioned, that is, the year of the events from GTA San Andreas.
Dwayne, it's like he thinks it's 1992, and the best that you could hope for is a gold chain and a pager.
By the way, I also checked the darts in the DLC, and it turned out that they use the same images as in GTA 4, but I'm not sure that Rockstar meant some kind of symbolism in this case. Only the darts of Johnny Klebitz, the protagonist of The Lost and Damned, turned out to be unique and symbolic. They have the flag of the Confederate States of America, which can be one of the personifications of bikers culture, although of course not all bikers are close to this theme. But Johnny's friends have nothing remarkable. Clay has a marijuana leaf, Terry has a leprechaun with a mug, Jim has a girl from Vice City. Whether this makes any sense or not, judge for yourself. In the Ballad of Gay Tony, everything is even more unremarkable. If you play darts with Armando, then this friend will have a leprechaun with a mug, and the same will happen to Luis, the protagonist. And if you play with another friend, Enrique, then he and Luis will have an image with marijuana. One of the players told me that when Niko is drunk, he cannot get into a helicopter or a boat, or even a police car. I checked this and found this fact to be true. To be more precise, this car is unavailable exactly when Bellic can hardly stand on his feet. But when this effect passes after a few minutes and the camera still continues to shake, the game allows us to get into the car. I also started checking other vehicles that could potentially have the same restriction, and as you might have guessed, such vehicles turned out to be official cars, but not all of them. The player will not be able to get into any law enforcement vehicles, including Noose and FIB, and the ban on drunk driving applies to Bus, Trashmaster, Packer, Mule, Ripley. I don't quite understand what the point of such restrictions for Niko is, unless it was an attempt to avoid legal proceedings. Maybe Rockstar thought that the possibility of drunk driving in official transport could become a reason to attack this game because the GTA series at that time had already been the subject of heated discussions on several occasions. But it still looks strange, and maybe there is another meaning to all this. Share your thoughts in the comments. When, according to the plot, Russian bandits hold Roman hostage in an abandoned warehouse in Bohan, the player usually arrives there by car and enters from the first floor. This is a completely logical path because GPS leads us here. There is also a mission marker, and a small bonus in the form of an AK-47 was thoughtfully left. However, the developers provided that the player can fly in by helicopter. In this case, opponents will be waiting on the roof of the building, who will use an RPG against Nico. It looks dangerous and very impressive.
He is mine! Cousin, they will pay for taking you!
Good thing we did not kill the bad father. You might not have...
In the house where Playboy X's apartment is located and where Nico can live himself, there is a security guard on the ground floor. He always greets the protagonist when he enters the building, and for many, an unnoticeable detail is that the guard can also say goodbye. But the problem is that the player usually does not encounter such a reaction, because when leaving the apartment, the game takes us straight to the street.
Hello there. All right, bye-bye.
In the mission, Bull in a China shop, Vlad sends Nico to deal with the owner of a Chinese store. Despite the fact that the developers tried to limit our access directly to the store, in fact, you can get there, and you don't even need any mods for this. You need to break the storefront glass, then knock down the dishes standing on the shelf, after which Nico will be able to jump over the shelf and get inside. The store is quite interesting and even well developed. You can hear a calm Chinese melody in it. You can rob the cash register, which you should approach carefully without touching the seller's counter, so that the protagonist does not fall under the map. And here you can also shoot all the goods, which effectively break into fragments. Well, you will find the exit from this place very easily. In some places of Liberty City, for example in Little Italy and Algonquin, there are parking meters. It is noteworthy that if you knock them down, you can sometimes notice one realistic detail: crumbling coins. But this does not always work, and if you want to try, keep in mind that sometimes these things are stronger than they seem at first glance. If you hold down and do not release the button to throw a grenade, after a few seconds the grenade will explode. However, if you do rolls, the detonation can be delayed indefinitely. To roll on a PC, you need to press right or left and space at the same time. If you start shooting in a closed place, you can see how the space will fill with gunpowder gases. When one of the players told me that Russian, Jamaican, and Irish gangsters can change their attitude towards Nico during the game, I decided to study this system. Here is the result. Before the mission named "Do You Have Protection?", Russian gangsters from Hove Beach will often attack Nico in case of provocations from him. They will even stand up for each other in a fight with the protagonist. But after this mission, in which Nico carries out the second assignment of one of the Russian mafia leaders, Mikhail Faustin, and begins to work for him fully, his gangsters no longer attack so often. They do not behave aggressively when provoked, and can stand up for Bellic in a fight.
from me, huh? Let's see some ID, huh?
You will lose.
You know, carrying a weapon in this town is... but you can't hide! Nobody fucks with me and lives.
But they will become hostile again after the mission named Russian Revolution, where Dmitry Raskolov becomes an antagonist and sets the entire Russian mafia in Hove Beach against Niko, which he ran together with already deceased Faustin. Now let's talk about the Jamaicans. One of the authorities among them is Little Jacob, with whom Niko has a good relationship. Initially, the Jamaican gangsters do not show loyalty to the protagonist, but everything changes after the mission named Shadow, when Niko carries out Jacob's second and at the same time last objective. After that, the statistics will indicate 100% completion of his missions, and the Jamaican gangsters themselves will begin to behave friendly, like the Russian gangsters I talked about earlier. And by the way, I tried to decrease the level of relations with Jacob in order to turn the Jamaican gang against Niko again, but it did not work, so it seems that Bellic has permanently gained the loyalty of this group. As for the Irish gangsters, among whom Packy is an authority, they become friendly upon completing the Three-Leaf Clover mission. This is a bank robbery, after which the statistics of Packy's missions will reach 100%. The behavior of this ethnic gang is similar to that of the Russians and Jamaicans, although I noticed one difference. If before good relations Faustin and Jacob's comrades react aggressively to Niko's random shooting, then Packy's guys are indifferent to this. In general, this whole system of relations with gangs is quite interesting. It's a pity that the game does not focus on this, so when playing GTA 4, all this can simply go unnoticed. When I was preparing one of the previous videos where I talked about Mikhail Faustin's tattoo, I tried to find an analog of this tattoo in real life and went through many photos on the internet. Surprisingly, I managed to find the origin of completely different tattoos, the same ones that are found on Russian bandits from Hove Beach. It turned out that these are tattoos of Soviet and Russian prisoners, which in some sources are presented as tattoos of the Russian mafia. There are several of them in the game, and they were all copied from a couple of pictures that the developer apparently found on the internet. I don't think it was a difficult task, but it's still great that this detail was paid attention to and authentically implemented into this crime game. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more GTA content. See you soon.